Turning to Commitment 2026, the midterm election is more than a year away, but already we're seeing who might appear on voters' ballots and who will not.
And one big ticket race is for U.S. Senator Thom Tillis' seat after the Republican announced that he will not be seeking re-election.
WXI 12's Kelly Kendall joins us in studio. Kelly, let's start with who is not jumping into the Senate race.
Christine Devante, President Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, had floated the idea of running for that Senate seat, but announced just hours ago that she will not enter the race. Now rumors are swirling about a big-name Republican and a big-name Democrat.
Senate races in North Carolina have traditionally leaned Republican. It's been close Republican, but Republicans have had a clear advantage. Democrats are always looking for a candidate who can give them an advantage in Senate races.
Wake Forest political science professor John Dinan says many state Democrats are hoping that candidate is former Governor Roy Cooper.
A two-term governor who won handily both times, who won a number of votes from unaffiliated voters and had a good record and popularity as governor, would give Democrats potentially one of their strongest candidates in decades.
Many have speculated Cooper has been planning a run for Senate since he took himself off Kamala Harris's short list of potential vice presidential candidates in the 2024 election. He's not said anything publicly, but a spokesperson told WXII, quote, Governor Cooper would be making his intentions known in the coming days. Republicans are also waiting on an announcement of their own. With Lara Trump stepping back from the race, focus has turned to Republican National Committee Chair Michael Whatley. A longtime figure in the state's GOP, a source told NBC News that Whatley is likely to get into the race and would have the full support of the White House. Dinan says while Whatley is well known in the political world, more work would need to be done with voters if he enters the race.
He's probably not a household name right now in North Carolina circles. That is, he wouldn't have the highest name recognition as he would enter the race. But certainly, and here's the most important point is, if he has the support of President Trump, he will have a glide path towards winning the nomination.
Now, whether or not Cooper or Whatley or any other candidates jump in, Dinan says a lot of money and a lot of attention is going to be put into this race because it could decide which party controls the Senate. In studio, I'm Kelly Kendall for WXII 12 News.